YouTube, what up, what up? It's your boy Ness from Heavy Attack Games, back with another episode of Gas or Trash. And today, we're talking Hogwarts Legacy. Let's get into this. Alright, y'all know how I'm coming. You already know you can't have an action game without bringing that action, alright? So that's what we're gonna talk about first. We're gonna talk about that combat, alright? That combat system is not what I would think it was supposed to be. I think that other games have done it much better when it comes to just the general spell usage. Now, I know that those spells are versatile within the world of Harry Potter, so you can use those spells in different areas outside of combat that makes it make sense a little bit more. But honestly, if I'm really just being honest, and of course, you know I'm gonna be honest because that's what I do here on Heavy Attack Games. I'm gonna give you that unfiltered, all right? I would say that a lot of those spells are real samey, man. Like, okay, the pull spell, when you pull people to you, all right? I understand that's a force type spell, it's a force grip spell. It's gonna require you to take hold of whoever it is that you're applying that spell to. But it shouldn't do the same exact thing as the Levioso spell or the spell that make people rise up into the air. I think that if you're gonna have different spells that do the same thing, you should vary them just a tad bit. And I think that they tried to vary them, but they didn't really vary them the way that they should have. Okay, it was one of those things that kind of made me sad about it because I was expecting a little bit more out of those guys, being that this is a Harry Potter game, this is in the world of wizardry, and I know that they have certain specifics, they tout that in the game. They talk about how specific you have to be, how precise you have to be in your measurements when you're baking potions, or the words that you pick when it comes to your incantations and things like that. Your enchantments that you put on different things, they tout how precise you have to be in order to get the effects that you're trying to get. However, I don't think they were as precise as they should have been when it came to the visual aspect of giving us what we wanted out of the game. Okay, so I just had to come out and say that right quick. The next thing I want to talk is that responsiveness, man. Is this game responsive enough for me? Okay, I'm the one that's playing it. You're looking at my character. He looked just like me. All right, well, a younger version of me. It's kind of crazy. I didn't think I was gonna be able to get that, that close. But we're gonna talk about that later on in the next segment. All right. So, is this game as tight as I need it to be when we're looking at the combat? And I'm gonna say there are a few things that I felt like could be tweaked, okay? That roll dive, okay? Coming off of games like God of War and coming off of games like, what do you call it? Oh, man. What was that game? The game of the year? Yeah, Elden Ring, coming off that, okay? That dodge roll in both of those games is unrivaled. They're probably the best to ever do it when it comes to that roll dive. Double tap X, press that circle button. Either way it goes, you're getting out the way. And the invincibility frames just make sense in those games. In this one, not so much. All right, if they catch you before you press the circle button, then you will get hit, take damage, but you will still roll. It's kind of weird. It just kind of makes it jarring for me. All right, in some cases, when you press the roll dive button, if you're mid-roll and the attack follows after you roll, then not only will the tracking pick you up and then still hit you, but you also take damage. No invincibility frames. So that kind of bothered me because it seems like the mechanics for the dodge roll is, okay, press button at this time and they miss you, or press button at this time, they hit you visually, but it misses you. So it kind of still seems like, like a traditional RPG like Diablo or something like that, where you press the button and nothing happens on the screen, but you get the little miss icon. So that means that your timing was correct. However, it just didn't have the animation to, I guess, get the point across. And that right there is real disheartening for me, man. Like, I would think that from guys that came up with Shadow of Mordor, okay, where the combat is very tight, very violent, and very entertaining on all levels. All right, coming off of Shadow of Mordor, I think that Portkey Games and WB Games should have had the necessary background and information to make this the type of game that we all wanted to see. See, when it comes to combat and wizardry, okay, that's something that we haven't really seen before, other than games like Skyrim, which is primarily a warrior game. Like, that's a game where you pick up a sword and you swing and you go at it and you do your thing until everything's dead, or until the last quest, to the end. But that's what I was trying to see from this game, which is why I bought this game. But I wanted to see something special from this game. That was something that I was really looking for that I felt like I didn't get. All right. So combat, you guys missed the mark. All right. And the common ticks that I mentioned for that, of course, that roll dive, trash. All right. The tracking, trash. All right. It's not as responsive as it should be when I throw my spells. I noticeably feel, it's like I'm not supposed to feel milliseconds, okay? But I noticeably feel those milliseconds when I press the button, from the time that I press the button till when I see the reaction on the screen. I noticeably feel it. And then for some strange reason, I'm playing it on PlayStation 5, but for some strange reason, I could press the button just before I get into combat, and it will not let me attack until it feels like I'm in range to, I guess, use the attack. For me, that's disjarring, because I'm pressing the button, the prompt that you gave me to press, and it's still not firing off. That's a problem. Something has got to be fixed. As you guys know, I talked about Forspoken, so you know how I feel about that magic use, man. You know how I feel about it, all right? And I just kind of feel like I didn't get what I was looking for from this game, all right? Let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk character creator, all right? That character creator is one of those things that I kind of felt like, hey, they did a good job. I think they gave us enough templates, enough presets that gave us the opportunity to make the kind of character that we wanted to make, all right? I kind of like it, even though you're coming in as a 5th year, so you're slightly younger than you are right now currently playing the game, unless you're a kid or, a grown-up who just kind of likes to play games. Yeah, me included. I think they gave us enough to deal with that, all right? The only thing that I would like to see, and I don't know what's going on when it comes to hairstyles, but I just didn't get the opportunity to grab my hairstyle. It's kind of like nobody acknowledges that the fade exists, okay? Like, I I rock a fade religiously. Like, that's probably like the number one thing that determines whether or not my haircut is a good haircut or not, okay? And on top of that, I'm a grown-up, so I'm not rocking that spongy look on the top of my head, okay? That's one of those things that, it's hot in the streets right now. Okay, cool, I get it. But it's still traditional guys like me out there who just want to rock a high top fade, or who want to rock a even all around or a taper fade. All right, I think that those fades should be included in every game creation mechanism that is out there. It's just egregious not to include that, because I kind of feel like my demographic is excluded. Do I get to say that? Can I say that? Can I say I feel excluded? Is that cool? Yeah, all right with that? Okay, so in this character creator, I'm not expecting them to be able to give me the opportunity to tweak one's physical prowess or anything like that. Like, it's not, the type of game where that's necessary. So I think they did a pretty good job when it came to that part of the creation. However, again, I will say, because I really kind of feel bad that I wasn't able to get my hair the way I wanted it to get it, all right? I didn't even get to put my hair on the way I wore it when I was that age. So I'm here again, feel like they missed the mark on that. And I'm sorry, Portkey Games, but you got to do better, all right? If you want everybody to be satisfied, then you got to give us everything that you have to offer. Give us everything that we see out there, okay? Like, it's one of those things that you just kind of got to not ignore, like me. All right, and that's all I really got to say about the character creator, man. Like I said, I think they did a good job in some aspects and not in others. So because I feel excluded, it's going to get that overall rating of trash, okay? I'm unhappy. Everybody else might be happy. However, me specifically, I'm unhappy. Portkey Games, get your shit together. WB Games, you guys know better. Okay, so let's talk about these graphics. All right. Overall, I think they did a great job on the graphical fidelity of this game, man. Now, me, you guys know how I feel about this when it comes to, you know, the two different tiers of game type. All right. If it's going to be one or the other, 60 frames or high fidelity, I'm going 60 frames, okay? Give me that performance mode, okay? I want to see it. And for some strange reason, even when I'm playing this game, I can kind of see the frame rate dip below 60 frames, man. They promised the 60 frames, but we're not quite getting it. You'll be able to see when you decide to play it for yourself that this game is kind of poorly optimized when it comes to, you know, other big name AAA titles. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that on that respect, they missed the mark. All right. I think they could do better. Maybe we could see some updates or some patches that's gonna basically put it where it should be when it released. But I think that's kind of the nature of gaming here now in 2023, man. This is that they're going to release whatever they have or whatever they feel like is passable, and then they're going to try to fix it later on. And if you ask me, I blame games as a service for this practice, man. Because if it wasn't for that type of lifestyle where people play games waiting for them to get better, we wouldn't be seeing this in our AAA titles. So I blame games as a service for that, all right? Even though these individual developers do have the opportunity to not go that route. They could polish their games to a top tier level so that you can come up with God of War Ragnarok. I mean, so that you can come up with an actual good game. Next up is that graphical environment, okay? I will say that Hogwarts Legacy did develop one of the most beautiful areas of gameplay that I've ever dealt with, okay? Forspoken was good, but kind of just came off as the same area over and over again. There wasn't much variation when I was playing that, so I didn't really feel the way that I felt when I played Hogwarts Legacy, okay? This game has so many different biomes and corridors and castles and caves, and it's varied. It really put me in a mind frame that I really just wanted to see more, you know? I really kind of wish that they had have taken us to some other imaginary places inside that world, or even some areas where you got to build the area yourself. Now, I know they did that with the room where you got to put your tables and your enchantments. The name of the room escapes me right now. However, I'll probably be kicking myself for that later. But the name of that room, it escapes me right now. But I thought that was kind of cool, you know, because it was the type of thing where the room changed to fit your specifications and your needs, you know? So it was deeply rooted in your own relativity, and I thought that was kind of cool, you know? I wish more games would apply things like that, you know? Kind of made me feel real Matrix-esque when it was doing it, you know? I love the Matrix. So any idea that I see that is kind of relative to that, I'm gonna point them out, man. And I think they did a good job on that. So for that particular area of the game, that's some gas. All right, that is some gas. Next up, I want to talk about that progression system. Okay, you can't talk RPG without progression system. Okay, and I think they did a really fantastic job on that. All right, I liked seeing the way that you could turn some of those samey spells over and over again. We're doing the same thing, but you could add different variations once you get it leveled up to the proper level. Now, I always say, tell them what you're gonna tell them, then tell them, and tell them again. All right, so because people don't take things the third time you see it, because they're already kind of disshuffled and dissuaded from the first time you told them. So the first time I seen the spell, that's my initial impression. So the judgment that I made on that spell is what I'm gonna feel for that spell throughout the whole game, regardless of the upgrades that got there afterwards or after the fact. It doesn't matter because I was already put off by that spell when I seen it the first time. So I will say that that progression system is absolutely gas. I'm gonna say that because it did give me the opportunity to feel more powerful as I progressed through the game. All right. Okay, this is Harry Potter. Okay, so we have to talk about the flight mechanics. All right. Now you guys know how I feel about flight mechanics, okay? And I will say that this game kind of got it right, okay? Out the gate, as soon as you get your broomstick, you're able to fly through some courses. They teach you the gameplay mechanics when it comes to your flight. I would have liked to see more combat on the broom, but I do get it. I understand that, you know, the broomstick is kind of has its own special functions in that world, in that game, you know. So I get it. All right. Can't have everything, but I will say that I would have liked to see more speed differential between the different modes of flying that you have on there. Of course, it feels like it comes with 3 speeds, and of course the different mounts do have different levels of speed, and I just kind of felt like I didn't really get the chance to feel the difference between them. It just kind of felt the same. They just told me I was moving faster. And that's one of those things that I kind of wish would go away in video games. If you're gonna make it feel faster, you can make it feel faster. It's not hard. You can either add more screen effects like they do in this game. They just kind of give you more screen effects, but you're still moving the same speed. And of course, I think that they just could have done better. So I'm gonna say that I like the flying mechanics. I like the way that they chose to go with the up and down on the right analog stick. That makes you, I guess, rise and descend. And they chose to give you much more mobility and control on that left analog stick when it comes to turning corners and, you know, special things like that. Didn't really feel like I needed to switch my camera in order to make, they did a good job on the follow cam when I was trying to fly through the skies. You know, I didn't feel like I bumped into too many things on accident because the point of view was just on point. When it comes to flying, the point of view is key. That could turn your flying simulation into a load of trash or a bag of gas. It is what it is, you know. So I will say that they did the right thing when it came to that, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to fine-tune those flying mechanics, because Lord knows we've been looking for a game where we can just fly around and feel powerful. Okay, one more thing I did want to add to that. When it comes to flying, I seen them mention wandless magic. I seen them mention broomless flight. All right. I would have liked to have that available to me from the start. I would have liked to be able to train in school the way that they mention these things out in the open. That's just me. All right. I think that the type of wizard you are, the type of style of magic that you use should have been very important and available to make changes early on in this game. So, like I said, I'm about halfway through the game, so I will see later on whether or not that changes or not. And of course, you know, if I'm wrong and they give me the opportunity to make that change, I'm gonna come back and say so. Why? Because this is Heavy Attack Games, and I pride myself on coming through and giving y'all the real. All right, let's talk menus and interface, guys. Okay, so I will say that this is probably one of the better interfaces that I've used. And I will say that I love the spell switching. I absolutely, positively love the way they implemented the ability to switch your spells. I think Forspoken probably should have pushed back a little bit and taken some cues from this game, because they totally missed the mark with their combat system. However, this one gives you the opportunity to switch between 4 different pages of 4 different spell cast types. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. And I would have to say that the screens, when switching from different vendors in the world, that made sense. It looked good and it made sense. So overall, I'm gonna have to give this interface a high rating of good gas. All right, that ain't just no gas, that is good gas. And for those of you who know, you know. All right, man, so this is my take on Hogwarts Legacy, man. I will say that even though there were a couple of few quirks that I didn't like about the game, I'll have to say overall, this game is gas. All right, it's not one of those that you need to wait for a sale or wait for it to come down in price. Nah, man, this bad boy is a good time. No alcohol needed. All right. You can play this bad boy with your kids, you can play it with your girl, you can play it streaming online. This game is an all-around good time, so I give it that hardcore rating of gas. All right, y'all, this has been Heavy Attack Games, man. I appreciate y'all coming out to check me out, man. And for those of you who are showing my channel some early love, man, I really appreciate you guys, man. As I get better in my YouTube journey, man, hopefully I can come up with different things to just really kind of elevate you guys and, you know, show you how much I really appreciate and love you guys, man. All right, man, this has been Ness on Heavy Attack Games, and I'm out.